What's up, Wise Take? It's week 5 in the NFL. Patio Joe is here in the host chair. I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. First few weeks, I was with Paulie D in the guest chair, but now I'm transitioning back to where you all know and love me. I'm now in the host chair. Everything is back to normal. I'm going to lead you guys into the promised land for week 5. I'm here with Paulie D. It's Thursday night. It's Wise Day. The two Guidos, as I say on Twitter. That's right. The two Guidos. All right. Paulie D, what's going on?
That's why you got to be the host. Like, I could never deliver an intro like that. That was amazing. That was great. But yeah, NFL baby, another crazy week. This is probably the wildest week of the 4 we've had. We just got I don't know how many totals over 50 points. You might need 300 points on DK this week to win the tournament. Like, it's just, the scoring could get just outrageous. Like, the rule changes, the quarterbacks being back and healthy. I don't know, there's a slew of other reasons you can give, but the NFL is changing, and it is so high scoring. And, the scores in DFS have just been so high, and it's very, very tight. Like, you really can't make many mistakes. Everybody's got to do right. Like, we were talking pre-show, like, you liked Beat Hard last week, and he was a good play, went 4x, but 4x for him was 20, and you need 40 from your quarterbacks now. Like, the cash game build is changing. It's not just automatically the cheap quarterback. It's it's all about ceiling now, and it's really interesting, and we got to adjust to that. And so we're just starting to get an idea of what teams are. You know what I mean? Like, some teams, they are who we thought they were, and other teams, they may be appearing to be something, but they're really not. So looking forward to breaking down some of these games. And what a great time in life for sports. We got baseball playoffs, we got NFL, we got hockey that just kicked off, we got NBA preseason, just a whirlwind of sports tonight. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's really kicking up. And, back to the whole lineup build thing. I was listening to some things on the radio this week, and they were talking about how cash games, you got to be pretty much, you can't really miss any these days. You got to hit on some of your guys, because unlike last year, at least the first 4 weeks, the chalk is hitting. So last year, I felt like it was just a weird year. The chalk was tough. It was hard to hit. You 2 years ago, you knew to just plug in these guys, and last year you weren't sure. And now this year, it's these guys are going off, and the lower receivers are going off. The second receivers are outperforming the first receivers. So that's going to make all the cash game lines more, because that's where you get your value receivers. And then you can mix it in with the high-priced guys and the running backs like Kamara, Gordon, and Gurley. And then all of a sudden, the scores. Last week, I put up, I think my cash game was 180, and I barely hit the cash line on FanDuel.
Yeah, and DraftKings and FanDuel are two different worlds now. With how much teams are throwing, there are way more 100-yard, 100-yard receivers versus 100-yard rushing running backs, and that PPR just totally changes the game. And running backs who's the guy that's not involved? Who's the Titans running back? What's his name? The guy from Alabama.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, a Derrick Henry that's not involved in the pass game. You just can't use those guys on DraftKings, because they don't have Kamara's got a 15-point floor just on receptions alone, and it's you add touchdowns to that, it's bonkers.
So somebody posted a picture on Twitter I think it was back in 2013 from Alabama, and it's a row of it's an Alabama running backs, and it has Kamara, Henry, Ingram.
Wait, Kamara went to
Drake.
Alabama?
Yes, he was at Alabama for a year.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, he was.
Wow.
Kamara, Henry, Ingram, Kenyon Drake was at Alabama.
Really?
Yeah, they had it's just a factory over there. It's just crazy.
It really is. It really is.
It's just crazy what they got going on over there. let's get into these games. We picked out 4 games, guys. We're gonna go over 4 games. Me and Paulie. 4 of the more obvious games, obviously a preview. Maybe games we want to stack. Then we're gonna do top of the positions. Maybe give you some few cash games, kind of like the beginning where we're kind of looking at just kind of locking in some of the cash game locks. But let's start off with the first game of the day. We're gonna go with let's go with this. In Detroit, we got Aaron Rodgers and his hobbled ankle traveling to Detroit to take on Mr. Matthew Stafford, Matt Patricia, Kerryon Johnson, and the Detroit Lions. What you got, Paulie?
What do you got for spread and total here?
Let me look that up.
Got it. I got it nearby.
Minus. Ooh, let me see. Minus 110 just says that. I don't know. That's wrong. Over under 51.
Over under 51, and what? Detroit's favored by 1.
Minus 11. Minus
1. Yeah. Green Bay is actually favored on the road. Minus 1, and these teams play twice a year, and like, depending on the time of the year, who's healthy, who's not. We've seen shootouts, and we've actually seen some lower scoring games. Detroit so far this year has been terrible against the run. So, like, I'm interested in Green Bay running backs. It's just there's 3 that are candidates. I think Aaron Jones has emerged as, like, the clear better back, and hopefully his share increases. He's, like, 4-4 on DK. I think that's interesting. When you play Stafford with the receivers, it's just hard to pick which one. Golden Tate had a monster game last week. He's kind of expensive. You got Jones Jr., who's crushed Green Bay historically, and then Kenny Golladay. So
let me stop you right there. I want you to look at Marvin Jones's price on DK and tell me he's not a free square this week with that price. Look at his price. I think it's like ungodly. It's like 4,700.
4.7.
Like, yeah. For a receiver that gifted in what he's done to Green Bay, like, I'm DK. Like, I don't play DK that often, but to me that just seems like pretty hard to pass up at that value. Even he might even be a cash game play for me. I don't know. He's done so well. Stafford has averaged 300 yards, basically 3 or 4 touchdowns, in the last 4 or 5 games against them. So, like, it's pretty safe. But I feel like this game is going to be both teams just trying to run. I think it's going to be a slower paced game to me. Like,
I agree. Like, Green Bay is playing extremely slow, and I think that's because of Aaron Rodgers' injury, and they'll only speed up if forced to. Green Bay, has been pretty solid defensively. This game being in Detroit on the turf, I think has the potential to, to have some offensive fireworks. And Jones on DK at 4.7 is definitely a nice tournament play. I think I would select him just based on price, but Golladay is the air yards guy. Golladay is probably the most talented. So I guess it's just hard because, on DK, you want the targets, and that's Golden Tate. But Golladay is more likely to score the touchdowns, and Marvin Jones is, like, the most attractively priced. In reality, I don't think I have a ton of exposure to this game at all. Like, I may have a flyer on Aaron Jones because he's so cheap. I just don't think I have too much more. And then we have so much uncertainty on the Packers side. Like, none of the receivers practiced today, right? Allison's got a concussion. I think Devontae Adams more of like a rest thing, and Randall Cobb, he didn't play last week. So, like, if injuries open up value, then I could have some interest. We could maybe take a look at Valdez-Scantling, although I really don't want to. But if 2 receivers are out, I'd be forced to. Maybe Montgomery becomes a play again, who should have scored on that deep pass and didn't, then all of a sudden just, like, disappeared for the rest of the game. But he's 3.8. But as it stands right now, if everybody's healthy, I respect the Lions' pass defense. I really just want to attack them on the ground. So Aaron Jones at 4.3, I think, is a nice tournament kind of contrarian pivot off some of the chalk. And on the Lions side, like you can play any one of those three receivers. I don't mind them. I guess I'd lean Marvin Jones because you need as much savings as you can to get some of the exciting plays on the week. But otherwise, I don't think I'm going to have a ton here. What do you think?
First off, John, wise take, staff member said, wait a minute, Patio's on the left, something's wrong. Guys, you don't remember. I'm OG. I'm before Paulie D, everybody. All right? I was the guy who said wise stream. Okay? I came up with that. I came up with hashtag hootie hoo. All right? It was me. Just because I went away, because me and my wife had twins, doesn't mean that, like, all of a sudden you guys all forget about Patio Joe. All right? That's my one little bit.
So what have you done for me lately, kind of league?
I know. It's like, Jesus Christ, wait a minute, though. You know what I mean? The building blocks of the Wise Stick Nation was on Patio Joe's back in the beginning. Thank you, David, the Godfather. I like that. Thank
you. So what do you think about this game?
I think this game is, like I said, I think it's going to be slower than everybody thinks. Stafford is pretty. If I'm going to play him, I'm only going to play him in cash. I'm not playing anybody of the Green Bay guys except for maybe Ty Montgomery. If then I'm going to play on DK. If I'm playing DK, and then FanDuel, I'm just going to stay away. I have Aaron Jones probably at least it is going to be in one of my GBP lineups. I've been hearing say he's okay for cash. I don't think about that. I think he's going to be splitting Jamal Williams. But when you got Aaron Rodgers that basically says, this is my guy, he's the one that makes a difference out on the field. They want to give him the ball more. I think he's going to score this week. They've been giving up 159 yards a game on the ground for the Lions. But let's remember the last home.
Just tore them up last week.
Yeah, let's remember the last game at home, though. They stopped the Patriots. And I don't know if that was more just Patricia or whatever. But I do think that this game is kind of a game where I don't really want much of it. I don't think I need much of it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I will say that if we do get one or more receivers out for Green Bay, then Jimmy Graham becomes very interesting at a low price on DK. Detroit struggled versus a tight end. He scored a touchdown last week. Him and Rodgers seem to be developing a really nice rapport. And if Cobb and Moore are out, then I think he becomes like a must play at a low price.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Let's move on to the probably the premier game in DFS world, I'd say, where everybody's going crazy. We got Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley, Devonta Freeman, Julio. The Atlanta Falcons traveling to Pittsburgh to take on Ben, Brown, Connor, Juju, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. This game has gone up. You said it's now at 58. It's now at 58. And, the Pittsburgh is a favorite. How much are they?
3-point favorite. Yeah.
This is the game to stack. I think the good thing about this game, before I flip it over to you, Paulie, is you can't get this. You can't do a full game stack. You just can't. You can't get the quarterbacks and the running backs and the receivers. You're gonna have to pick and choose where you want to go. That being said, Paulie, where are you gonna go?
So, there's so many places you can really go. Atlanta's defense is just atrocious. They've given up like 80, 70, 55 points totals. Not that they've given up, but those have been the complete game totals the last few weeks. And they just are obliterated by injuries right now. They're the top team to target backs out against. Receivers have just been crushing them. Eifert scored a touchdown, then got hurt. AJ Green had a touchdown and a ton of yards. Tyler Boyd had a ton of yards. Like, Ross scored a touchdown. Like, it's just one of the worst defenses in the league. And both these teams need to win. Like, the Steelers are 1-2-1, and the Falcons are 1-3. So I don't see any way this game doesn't shoot out. And you definitely want to have pieces of it. But like you said, you can't just game stack it. It's who and which guys. And like, there are all the expensive, attractive plays that we'll get to, but there are like two really, really cheap value. Actually, more than that. There's a handful of really cheap value plays that are very interesting. And like, shout out to one of our longtime subscribers, D Millie. He messaged me early in the week about Ryan Switzer, who took a ton of snaps in the backfield, was targeted, I believe, 5 times. I'm going to pull it up. He's minimum price on DK, right? And he can help those stacks work. And if he's going to be getting targeted out of the backfield, like more like high probability to be completed passes, he's targeted 7 times and he caught all 7 last week. Like 10 points at min price. Like that could help you get Juju, Julio, AB. So that's interesting. On the Falcons, you got Sanu, who is getting more snaps than Calvin Ridley. He was also pretty involved last week. He's a veteran. He's pretty familiar with Pittsburgh. He used to be on Cincinnati. Like, he's 4K on DK, and again, where the PPR leagues are just, so valuable. He was targeted 9 times, caught 6 for 111, put up 20 points without a touchdown. And he played on 55 of 70 snaps, where Ridley only played on about 60% of the snaps. I'd play Sanu over Ridley all day at an $1,800 discount. In terms of the running backs, we got Freeman back. I really just have no interest in the Falcons' backfield. If I had to play someone, it'd probably be Tevin Coleman while everyone's jumping off. I think he'd go back there, and you can literally play anyone in this game at any position that's going to be on the field. But I'm pretty much staying away from the backfield. On the Steelers side, Connor's interesting. Game flow's kind of taken him out of the last few games where the Steelers have fallen so far behind, so he hasn't really gotten carries, but he's still gotten 6-7 targets a game, and Atlanta's the worst team against the back out, so it just seems like a good spot. But he's 7,500. If you play him, you're pretty much not able to play 2 receivers from this game. So I think you got to make a decision on whether you're going to play Connor or, Julio, Juju, AB. AB's been kind of ruffling feathers, a squeaky wheel, wants the ball. I think I want him and Julio, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I also like Juju. It's so hard to pick between these guys. On the Falcons, it's clearly Julio. On the Steelers, AB's the better player, but Juju may have a little more upside, it's a little cheaper. I'm going to make an effort to get Julio and then one of those 2 guys into a team, and then I'm going to roll with Roethlisberger. He's, we know the home and away stats. Ryan's been awesome, but most of those are in the dome, and Pittsburgh's defense does bring pressure. That pressure opens up holes in their defense as well when they don't get there, but I think there's a chance that they can give Ryan some more trouble that other teams haven't, being that it's outdoors and on the grass. Roethlisberger, I think, just has no path to really being stopped. Even if he throws a pick or 2, they're just going to have so many plays, so many points. I'd side with Roethlisberger. And then at the tight end, on FanDuel, they just mispriced Mr. McDonald. He's 100 off minimum. And on DK, he's 3.7. I don't know how you don't play that. It makes a lot of sense. Vance McDonald's been just emerging in the pass game. He's a really good receiving tight end at 3.7 on DK. That makes sense. So I think on DK, you go Ben, you go Julio, you pick a receiver, and Vance. And that's how you stack that up. And then hedge yourself on some teams and just run with Connor and a cheaper receiver and kind of fade the rest of this game and see if maybe the Steelers kind of win convincingly and Connor kind of runs out the game. But that's how I think I'm going to approach this game. Ben with Julio and whatever of the receivers I can fit, and maybe throw in one of those value guys like Switzer or Sanu, and then, add Vance McDonald just because you can.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm going to try and attack this game now on the FanDuel side. So it's because the pricing's different and everything, and I'm going to think, how am I going to build cash games or whatever? If I'm stacking it, I might want to put, you could get AB and Juju and Sanu, and even if you wanted Julio, but then you go down at quarterback and you still get a piece of those quarterbacks of Ben in those games because you're just thinking probably the touchdown passes are going to go to AB or Juju on Sunday. Vance McDonald, I did say before that the Falcons have been pretty good against tight ends. Yep. So I'm let's call him a roll on Vance McDonald. I don't think that he has a huge ceiling on Sunday unless he breaks a tackle like he did last week, 2 weeks ago or something. But I think that in cash, I think Juju is more of the play. He's going to be lining up against Poole, the guy that Tyler Boyd just been smoking, the guy that everybody just been destroying this year. So I like that. I think AB is definitely definitely in play. If I was stacking this game, in tournament sense, I would probably have AB and Julio trying to get as much as I can. I might have Sanu as another receiver for the Falcons because I think everybody will go to Ridley, and Sanu will be so much more unowned, and he has just the same upside. Touchdowns are variant. You don't know when it's going to happen. And so I'll take that. And then Connor is just to me, I feel like if you're going to play Ben in cash, I don't think you need Connor in cash.
I wouldn't pair them.
So, I told you who I kind of like for cash for running backs this week. So I feel like I'm not going to be able to afford Connor anyways because he's 7,800 on FanDuel. And if you put him around where he's the guys that he's around, I'll just take them because their upside is way bigger, and let's see, any other things this game, Freeman and Coleman, I'm just going to stay away this week. Freeman, I think they want him to assume that role and they feel like the offense is going to work better with him in it. And Coleman is more of the complementary. So I would stay away. I don't think you need either of these running backs at all, especially at their price. It's not like they're under 6K or anything like that. They're 6,800, 6,900. I'll take other running backs in that same price range. I'll spend $700 more and I'll get David Johnson over Tevin Coleman. That's come on. So yeah, that's all I got in this game. I think it's going to be, you got to stack it. You got to have a piece of it. You maybe have a Ben team, maybe you have a Ryan team because Steelers haven't stopped anybody either, and Ryan's been pretty money this year aside from week 1. So you can have that, and you can go Ryan with Julio, Juju, and AB. You're still getting your piece of Ben that way. So
yeah. Let me ask you a question. Yeah. If you were only building one team, you had a entry into the the Thunderdome, $5,300. Would you attack this game and who?
I would probably fade this game if I want to win it because hopefully maybe it would bust out. But if I'm not, I would probably want. And you got to think that the stars are going to shine in this game, you know what I mean, Brown and Julio, you know what I mean, the two top guys. But Juju has been I like Juju. For some reason, I'm just more attracted. I'm more just going to him. And Julio is about to break out. His air yards are just so big, and
yeah, he leads the league in ADOT.
And Sanu, and I don't think you need maybe Austin Hooper too. That's an off the kind of off the thing. He'll be low on too.
He's a nice pivot actually off of McDonald, but for me in that scenario, I wouldn't load up on this game because the guys are so expensive, and for all of them to maximize value, it would just it would take a lot. You know what I mean? So I think if I was in that kind of scenario, I think AB or Julio, and I'd probably play one of them, maybe both, but that would be it. I think there's a ton of other games on the slate that you can really go to. And for how popular this one's going to be and how much more overpriced most of the guys are, I think it's more of a fade overall. If you were building one monster lineup for this league, I would just want one or two pieces and more of the value. But I wouldn't go crazy. I think there's better games that you're going to get such lower ownership overall on the slate.
Well, yeah, I think that you can almost be contrarian in tournaments just by fading this game and going as chalky as you want in the other games. I mean, um, real quick, I mean, we'll move on. Let's move on. We got 2 more games to go to, but before we transition to that, are you going to have any shares or any games of the Jacksonville Kansas City game?
Maybe I will have one Mahomes and Tyreek stack, but otherwise, that game's supposed to get like torrential downpour, and I really have like zero interest in Bortles, and like Yeldon is like a cash game play, but I don't think he's got a ton of ceiling. Like Chiefs defense hasn't been as bad as they've looked. They've just gotten so far ahead of all their opponents that these other teams just have so many plays against, but their average yards per reception is very low, and like they're starting to come around. Like they really kind of shut down Denver through the air. Denver was getting there on the ground, but then Kansas City jumped ahead. So like I really don't plan to have a ton of that outside of if the weather's not horrible, like a Mahomes to Tyreek, just to be super contrarian. But other than that, I doubt I have much there.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next game. We got the team up in the Bay Area, the Oakland Raiders, traveling down south to take on my Los Angeles Chargers, Philip Rivers and the boys, taking on which will be another road game at the StubHub Center because the Black Hole will be strong because they're just coming off of a win. They're 1-3, and they think, oh, our season has been saved. So now they're going to come strong and think, oh, we have a chance to go to the Super Bowl because we won a game. That's a Raider fan for you. Sorry if I offended anybody, but that's a Raider fan. You beat the freaking Browns, who have won 1 game in the past 2 years. On your roll, Raider fans. Jesus. Anyways, Paulie, do you like this game at all?
I do.
This game could shoot out. Really,
I really do.
Game score more points than Atlanta Fit. You can.
Like I had zero influence on the games that you chose, and these last 2 are my 2 favorite games on the slate. So, I was really impressed with Derek Carr last week. The Cleveland defense is pretty good, and he went for like 400 plus and 4. And, the Chargers just haven't shown a pass rush. The Chargers defense just hasn't been very good, and until they get Joey Bosa back, I don't think that they are going to do well. The total has risen. The spread has tightened. The Chargers opened at 7-point favorites. It's down to 5. The total opened at 52. It's up to 53. I expect a lot of passing here. I like this game a lot, and these guys are significantly cheaper. So on the Chargers side, I think this is a Keenan Allen breakout game. Not many people are going to be playing him. I expect if this game's close, or if the Chargers do what they did last week and allow the Raiders to jump in front, they are going to use him a ton. And, if I was the Raiders, I'd be keying on Melvin Gordon, and I think this is a Keenan Allen kind of breakout spot. The Raiders are just terrible against the pass. The Chargers, they're 18th against the pass, 22nd against the run. I expect the Raiders to, be trailing and coming back. Amari Cooper's fine. Cook, the tight end, is very good play. Jordan
Nelson.
Like
Cooper. I don't like Amari Cooper. Look at his stats with Casey Hayward shadowed him last year. He got 2 catches for 8 yards.
So if you look at the last 6 games that he's played, he's had 3 very good games against the Chargers and 3 bad. 2 of those good ones were in the Chargers stadium.
San Diego.
The Chargers haven't really stopped anybody, so I'm not going to come off anyone. I'm just going to kind of get as much exposure to as many guys as I can. But on the Chargers, it's you get Melvin, or you go to the pass game. You could definitely play Philip Rivers here. I think he's in the cash game consideration, but ultimately I wouldn't go there. But Rivers, Keenan Allen, either one of the Williams is fine. Those are the 3 guys. And, if you don't play Rivers and Keenan Allen or the receivers, and I think you play Gordon. And on the Raiders, I really like Carr. I think he's your cash game option on DK at 5-1. Game script should have him passing a lot. And, let's see what the Chargers are against the tight end. I'm actually curious.
They were okay up until last week, and George Kittle smoked them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that was one play.
One play.
So they are number 1 DVOA against the tight end. They are number 32 against wide receiver number 1. They are number 25 against wide receiver number 2. And they are number 2 against the back out. So, I mean, it's like, it's Cooper and Jordy Nelson that I would pair up with Derek Carr. But I like this game a lot. I think this could be similar to last week with that Browns-Raiders game, just one of the more higher-scoring games on the week.
Yeah, I'm right with you. These teams can't seem to stop anybody right now. So, like I said last week, Chargers defense haven't stopped anybody. They didn't stop. Beat hard last week. Derek Carr is a better quarterback. Better offense is coming in, healthier offense. The one thing I will say, Donald Penn is out. He's out the year for the Raiders. That's going to hurt. And the Chargers did get back Corey Legit from a 4-game suspension. So that's going to help stuff up the run. Don't play Marshawn Lynch this week. I don't think he's going to be able to run the ball. That's just with Legit being back. He's a run stuffer. I don't like that. I do like, the game stack, though. I'm not a huge Raider. I don't pump the Raiders, but they're going to be able to put up points. I think that there is a lot of other ways that you don't really know who's going to get. Like, it could be Nelson. It could be Cooper. It could be Jalen Richard. It could be Cook. So
how about Martavis Bryant?
It could be Martavis.
He dropped
Bryant.
A bomb touchdown.
My point is that I agree with you when it comes to Derek Carr as a good cash game quarterback on DK. On FanDuel, he is 7,000. That's not bad, but it's not the point where it's like you must have him. So, but that's it. Yeah, I'm all about Rivers. I think he is another cash game, very, very safe. They're going to be passing. They're going to be able to score. They're not going to be able to get much of a pass rush on him. They haven't been able to all year. So I think Gates is, if you want a flyer in the tournament, he's cheap enough. He's just around there. If you wanted to pivot off of some of those lower under tight ends to get a piece of this game too. Gordon, the thing about Gordon, he always gets these little dump offs all the time. So I wouldn't say it's the worst thing in the world to pair him with Rivers. I understand why you don't, but he always seems to has those games where he gets 2 or 3 touchdown passes from Rivers. And so he's already had it this year where he's had 2. So it could happen. I like Keenan Allen. That's a definite good play. This is a good game, to have. So make sure you have a piece of it. Let's move on. We got one more game to go. It is the rematch of the NFC title game, but the names have changed a little bit. We got Kirk Cousins coming in, kind of wounded off of their getting beat up on the West Coast by the Rams, and they come in and have to play the Eagles. Damn, that's a brutal schedule back to back. And then they play Carson Wentz and the Eagles. You said you like this game. Both defense, I think, are right just to get tore up, and I think Wentz is like, when are we going to see it? Is he going to be healthy? This could be it. What do you got?
Yeah, so Minnesota, like, they have had days off now. That was a Thursday night game. They had that Buffalo debacle, and then the Thursday night against the Rams, who are just a machine. So they've had some time off, but their defense is just not very good right now. 25th against the pass, 20th against the run. Philly, on the other hand, is dominant against the run, number 3, and 12th against the pass. I think this game is going to have a ton of passing, a ton of plays, and just like a lot of scoring. And I have no interest in any of the running backs. It's all quarterbacks and receivers. That's like perfect for tournaments. Wentz and Nelson Aguilar is my favorite target of his. He should, I don't even care, who guards him, but I think Rhodes will probably follow Jeffries, Alshon Jeffrey. So that leaves Aguilar with a not good, like this. The wide receiver number 2 has been torching Minnesota for years now, at least for the last 2 years. Aguilar got, I want to say, 11 targets last game, and just no completions. But I think this is a spot you jump back on. He's very cheap. Both these quarterbacks are relatively cheap. And then, either one of the tight ends, obviously Zach Ertz. Yeah, he got 12 targets, Aguilar, last week, only caught 5. The week before that against the Colts, he got 5. The week before that, 12 and 10. And now you got Jeffries back, so he's going to be extremely low owned. I'm fine if you want to throw a dart at Jeffrey. He does have the better corner on him, but Aguilar, Ertz, even Goddard with Wentz. And then on the Viking side, I mean, we've seen Kirk Cousins just, go nuts multiple times this year, and Thielen, Diggs, and the tight end, what's his name? Rudolph. Like, all 3 of those guys, like, if I stack it, it's going to be triple stacks. It'd be Wentz with Aguilar and Ertz, and I'd probably run it back with one of the Minnesota receivers. And then if I go with Kirk Cousins, it'd more than likely be Diggs and Thielen, or maybe like a Thielen in the tight end. But, the Philadelphia secondary is not very good. That guy Mills is terrible. He's been getting burnt for, a couple seasons now. And we've seen Cousins throw 50, 55, 48, and 36 against the Niners when they didn't really have to. But the last 3 games, he's thrown basically about 50 times each game, 422, 300, 425 yards. Like, I think that's very possible in just a game with a lot of plays and a very, very fast pace. So this is like my second game that I think is a nice pivot off that Steelers and Falcons game.
Yeah, I like this game too. Diggs and Thielen, they're going to get their targets. You know where they're going. I'm not worried about Aldrick Robinson, who caught 2 touchdown passes last week. That was just an anomaly. Kyle Rudolph he doesn't really have a ceiling. I like his floor. He's kind of safe. He's kind of too expensive for me. Cousins is definitely a quarterback. You just know they're going to be throwing. Dalvin Cook, he's not right. He's not back. Something's wrong. The O-line's not blocking for him. So they're going to be throwing. Other side, I'm waiting for Wentz to bring it up, but I like, you can get it with Aguilar. Jeffrey, like I said, I think he's going to be locked down. Ertz, Dallas Goedert, if you want to go even more contrarian, that's okay. Jordan Matthews, I guess, he caught 1 pass. It was big for a touchdown. I guess, if you really want to.
I wouldn't go that deep.
You have to. Yeah, I just don't think you have to. That's the only thing about this game. I don't know if there's a lot of pieces on the Eagles side that I necessarily like. It's very easy to stack the Vikings, like you said. Cousins, Diggs, Thielen, and then bring it back with Aguilar. And then you're like, okay, or maybe Ertz. I guess that would be okay.
Yeah, and I mean, the Vikings gotta want to win this game after the Eagles ruined their path to the Super Bowl last year after that awesome win. The Eagles just shut them down, so there's like a little revenge. Like,
the Eagles got to win too. They've lost 2 games this year already.
Yeah, no, I know, and like, once he was out for a while, like I think he started to show some good signs in the second half of that last game, and I just don't see where this game goes to the ground. So it's going to be in the air. It's going to be the clock stopping a ton. And both these secondaries have been very suspect this year. Just like it leads to a very, very high scoring game and a nice pivot in tournaments off the chalk.
All right. Before we get to our top 3s, I'm gonna throw out one guy per position at you, Paulie, who I think maybe is a little bit mispriced on FanDuel, and I just want you to give your opinion on it, okay? A little bit different. I just throw it at you. I know I just looked at it. I saw one guy. Quarterback position. Marcus Mariota at 6,800.
Marcus Mariota, 6,800.
On the road at Buffalo.
I think you can go there, but like, I just don't think they'll need him to go nuts. So like,
Mm-hmm.
on FanDuel, like, what is the relation to like what is like Cam Newton's price?
Cam is way higher. Cam is 8,400. The guys, the quarterbacks that are around Mariota is like Carr, Tannehill, and Bortles.
You said
Flacco.
you said Mariota's how much?
68.
68, and those other quarterbacks like in the eight. So I don't think so. Like, I actually think you could take a stab at like Derrick Henry or Lewis. Buffalo's a team you want to run against, and I think the Titans' defense is too good for Buffalo to do much, and they're just not going to need a ceiling game out of Mariota here.
Mm-hmm. All right. Here's a little tip, guys. Make sure to watch the see injuries. If Alex Collins is injured, Buck Allen probably becomes a lock on FanDuel for cash game at 400. Running back on FanDuel, a little bit underpriced. Or what do you think? Kerryon Johnson, 6,100.
He looked good in that game against the Patriots. Models like him on DK, he's 4,600. What's his price on FanDuel?
He's 6,100.
6,100. I'd say that he's more of a FanDuel play. He's not a ton involved in the pass game because of theoretic, but I just don't think so. He really hasn't gotten over 10 carries except for the one game, and that's just not enough for me right now. So I'm going to say no on him either.
All right. Wide receiver spot, 5,200. Christian Kirk.
Yes, absolutely. The 49ers are not good defensively. We finally saw the Cardinals actually pick up the pace, and DJ's definitely going to be what the 49ers try to stop and won't be able to. And Christian Kirk's target totals have just been going up, up, up. He's got the better quarterback in there. I love Kirk on both sides.
All right, good. Tight end position. Tyler Kroft, 4,500.
So I know a guy who really likes Tyler Kroft, and I respect him. So I'm going to say
Does he like to oil his body?
Buys a lot of baby oil.
He likes to have a lot of baby oil on his body? Okay.
I did see that Uzoma had like 70% of the snaps and Kroft only had 30, but, we'll see. I think he's viable, but I think there's a lot of other cheap tight ends like I like more. What's his price on like FanDuel?
He's 4,500.
Okay, so he's mid-price. Like, it's definitely a decent value play. He only got one target last week. Same thing with Uzoma. Like, Eifert got hurt, I think, around the second quarter, and it was a massive passing game. That's concerning. The snap count is concerning, but we did see him be pretty productive last year. He's kind of just going to fall into that Eifert goal line role, I believe. So, like, he's mid-price. Like, how much can he really hurt you? I just don't know how much ceiling he's got if he's only going to play on 30% of the snaps.
All right. And then defense. 3,300 Cleveland Browns with FanDuel. What do you think? I mean, this is like dumpster diving. I'm trying to think of if I had to.
I think absolutely not against the Ravens. They've just been like playing at such a fast pace. Most of their games have been very high scoring. Flacco's a veteran. Like, their receivers have been good. We just saw Cleveland get toasted. I don't think that I would go to their defense this week.
All right. Nice. Good. That was a good little segment. I like that. Let's go to our top three. Paulie D. All right. Quarterbacks for the week. Let me know who your top three is and who would you play in cash right now.
So Derek Carr would be my cash game quarterback on DK. And my top three quarterbacks are going to be Big Ben, Kirk Cousins, and Jared Goff.
My top three quarterbacks, I like Big Ben also. I'm going to also go with Phillip Rivers, number 2. And it's hard. There's a ton of quarterbacks I like this week. And then Jared Goff. And guys, I'm going to tell you this. Like, if you're not going to play Gurley in cash in FanDuel, I think you should play Goff as your quarterback. Because you're going to get that offense. You're going to get a piece of that offense all over, and you're going to still get a piece of Gurley. So if you don't want to go Gurley in cash, I say go with Goff. I honestly, I've watched that Rams offense the last 2 weeks, watching those games. I went to one of the games, watched the other game. Like, it's just such an offense. It's such well oiled, and everybody eats. You don't need any one of the pieces, but you get the quarterback, and he's just. You look at his game logs. It's just so consistent. It's just been 17, 19, 26, 39. I mean, just going up and up and up. And, like, yes, of course he's going to level off at some point. But even if he levels off at 25 or 26 points as a cash game quarterback, that's 3x. You're good with that. Am I right, Paulie?
Yeah, definitely. He's just awesome. Like, if Gurley doesn't get it, then he will. Seattle's defense is not good enough to keep them like at bay.
But there's so many other quarterbacks that are good too. Like, you know what I mean? Like you said, Cousins is good, and I know people are talking about Bortles this week, but with the weather, I'm staying away. Carr is obviously an option. It's and like I said, Mariota, he has okay matchup. Dalton, don't even forget about Andy Dalton. He's pretty just safe. And Stafford too. It's just
there's a lot.
Yeah. So let's go to running backs. Top 3 running backs of the week. Who you got?
So cash game running back on DK for me would be David Johnson at 6,300 against San Fran. He'll also be in the top 3, but give me Gurley as the best. Give me Christian McCaffrey against the Giants and David Johnson.
I don't really have much of a difference there. David Johnson is 7,600 on FanDuel. That's just a great value on a team that, obviously they're going to be, it's a division game and stuff, but I think that they learn that they're going to get him involved. I like McCaffrey too, and Gurley is obviously my top option that, you could build your cash game, lock him in. There's no Kamara this week, so it's pretty easy to go. But yeah, that's where there's not really much other running backs that I like. Are you into Barkley this week or no?
Sure. I mean, he's got great volume. Carolina's tough against the run, but he could on DK just get enough targets if the Giants are playing from behind. So he's always viable, pretty much. He's like a Kamara light.
All right, receiver. What you got? Obviously, it's going to be tough to put down to 3, but what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, and like at this, like, I'm not sure if we're talking PPR or raw points, but we've kind of gone raw points so far, so I'll just stick with that. And it's, AB Julio, and I really like Keenan Allen this week. And in cash, I would play Adam Thielen.
Okay. For me, I like AB. I like Juju. I like that whole offense, so it's tough to. And third is Julio Jones. My cash game, though, will be Tyler Boyd again. I got Xavier Howard on AJ Green all day. I got Joe Mixon coming back. Gio Bernard's hurt. There's no Eifert. That just leaves Boyd to me for all these targets. At 6,300 on FanDuel, you're going to need somebody in there to get some of those top games. So that's why I like Boyd again. But I hear you on Thielen. Kind of always goes overlooked to me. You know what I mean? Like, he does. He just
top 3 in targets at receivers. Like, I don't see them being able to run. He's, on DK with all those targets, it's hard to get away from him.
Mm-hmm. Tight end.
So, I like Ertz. I like Travis Kelce. But I think you're going to want some value at tight end. If the Packers receivers have injuries, and one or more are out, then Jimmy Graham. And I also think that Njoku versus the Ravens is a nice play this week.
Mm-hmm. For me, George Kittle, he's got to be considered. Beathard was all about him last week. He was only one of the more healthy players. I like probably in cash. It's tough. There's not really much of a cash game tight end this week. It's tough. You want to go 4,600 to Vance McDonald, but they've been well against tight ends. They've done well against tight ends, so not necessarily you don't have to. We've talked about Gates. I think Austin Hooper is also a cheap way to get,
exposure to
that game if you want to, even if you wanted to fade it. But the guy, definitely, I guess if you had to, Ertz and Kittle are my top two favorites. With Njoku probably third, but I've mentioned other guys. Defenses.
I think Titans are your cash game and certainly a great play against Buffalo. After that, I have interest in the Ravens against Cleveland. And last, I will go with the Jets against Denver, who've just completely struggled in the past game, and the Jets defense has been surprisingly good so far.
I agree with you on the Titans. I'm also going with the Rams defense. They've had 10 days to prepare for Russell Wilson, and he is just under pressure every single damn play, it seems to me. They're just going to crush him all day. I like that. And thirdly, the last one probably, I said Titans. I like the Rams. And yeah, I'll go with your Jets pick. I don't see anything better. There's not really much good defense this week, really.
Yeah, every game has like a 50-something total, so it's tough on the defenses.
Yeah, you're not going to go to Jacksonville because they're playing KC. KC as a tournament defense.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I really don't, especially with the crazy weather. I could definitely see that.
And how things get in KC. I see how things can get up there. I like that. What about Cincinnati against
Miami? Yeah, and they're getting Burfict back. They don't have a ton of scoring upside. They don't get a ton of sacks. They don't get a ton of picks, but it's viable. I don't think Miami's good at all. I think they're on a downward slope, and they're a home big favorite, so they fit the narrative.
Mm-hmm. All right. Paulie D, take us home with what you got. We got something cooking at the Nation if you want to.
Yeah, so the rest of the season NFL package has been discounted. It's only $74.99 rest of the season. You still got 3 months plus the playoffs, so it's like $16 a month or something crazy. If you have been doing week passes and you're happy, just jump on the rest of the season. That's your best value. NBA is right around the corner. We had some already solid preseason wins. Preseason NBA is just like an extension of the regular season. We have an article out each day, and then the Slack chat is just alive and well. The hockey guys just started. They're doing well tonight. It's a really cheap, 99 cents just to try it out, and then $50 for the season package. Two good guys, the Hoff and Brumetic, very, very knowledgeable in hockey. And NBA regular season right around the corner. So check us out. $2.50 for the day pass. But if you try us out and like it, I really recommend getting a monthly or better where you can get in the Slack chat where it's just alive 24/7, and some of the subscribers have amazing takes, and you can chop up your thoughts with them. And then we're constantly putting updates in there right up until lock. It's just a awesome feature that we added. If you are watching on YouTube, iTunes, Podbeam, Facebook, Twitter, any of the others I may have left out. Please do your part, like, share, support the nation. It helps us do what we do and bring you this fun content. Joe, it was a good time banging out this slate. It's going to be a fun one. Check us out on the live stream Saturday. I think it'll be about 8 p.m. where we finally have all our final takes to give out. Joe's got an article coming out. CK, myself, the poll will be out tomorrow. Anything you want to say in closing?
No, guys, Dodgers win. I'm happy. Guys, if you're thinking about joining basketball, I'm telling you, man, Paulie D, I think that's his best sport. Definitely has helped me a lot. I won more money in basketball last year than I've ever won. And if you guys listen to me, you guys know that I'm not a huge basketball fan. So you got Paulie D, you got Cash doing it, and then we got Thunder Dan.
Newcomer Thunder Dan.
Stuff. So I'll be doing some stuff. So a lot of good things going to the nation. We got hockey going on. So guys, try it out if you're into it. If you want to play, if you need something to play every day, because baseball season's over. And also, Cam's got an article coming out for baseball. He'll have an article.
Cam's still doing the baseball. If you're doing the showdowns, tomorrow's actually a decent slate. So the nation is live and well. Check us out.
Yeah, we're good.
Patio Joe, for myself, let's go Yankees. We're out.
Good luck.
Yeah.